Hey, Steve here, and today we're building on what I covered in my previous exposure blending in Photoshop for beginners video. These next steps are a natural progression from that beginner level video, so if you're completely new to exposure blending, then I recommend you check out that previous video first and then come back and watch this one. So I'll pop a link up in the corner to that first video now, or if you're ready to take these next steps and start moving you from a beginner level to an intermediate level Photoshop user when it comes to exposure blending, then you're in the right place, so watch this one all the way to the end. If you like this video, then remember to hit that thumbs up button to let me know so that I can keep making more videos like this. And also make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification icon to be notified when I publish new videos here on YouTube. So in that first video, I showed you how you can blend two exposures together using layer masks by taking a brush and brushing into the mask of one layer so that it hides it in certain areas to reveal the layer beneath. So this demonstration is going to be the same kind of thing, but this time using a luminosity mask. In a nutshell, the difference is that a luminosity mask can allow you to make much more accurate selections. So in this example, we're going to be blending this image in with this one here, and so we're going to be brushing the brighter parts of the sky from this dark layer into the parts of this layer here which are overexposed in those areas. Now the first thing we have to do is just add a layer mask to this layer, this top layer. So we'll do that using the icon down below. And as we can see here, we've got a white layer mask has been added. Nothing's changed because a white layer mask just reveals the entire layer. Now if you wanted to do this using the method I showed you in the previous video, then we would take a black brush and just brush along the edges here to bring that darker layer through. However, by the time we get to the edges of this rock, then we're going to have a bit of trouble with the accuracy of what we're doing. So, even though it's not looking like it's doing much at the moment, by the fact that the brush is actually going over the edges into this rock, we're also darkening it because, basically we're painting over the lines. So let me just undo this, and I'll show you how to do this using Luminosity Mask, which is basically a way to just isolate our brush strokes to only the brightest areas that we want to brush through. So when we think, what are we actually trying to achieve here? We're trying to brush into the mask where the image is the brightest so that it brings through that part of the darker layer beneath. So a luminosity mask gives that because it creates a selection that we can brush through, which is going to restrict our brush stroke to only those brightest areas. So here are the steps. So we come over into the channels panel, and on a Mac, we're going to hold the command key on the keyboard. On a PC, that would be Control. And then we're going to click the RGB channel. We can see that loads the RGB channel as a selection. So let's just now click this icon down here that says Save Selection as Channel. And that creates an alpha 1 channel. Now if we look at this, we don't need to do this step of looking at it and creating it as a channel, but it helps to show you what's actually going to happen. By looking at this, what we can see is basically a black and white version of our image, but this is actually representing the selection that we've got active at the moment. And so anywhere in this view, in this preview, that is white or very, very light grey, when we brush through this selection into our layer mask, those areas are going to be affected the most by the brush. And where the selection and where this preview is darker and almost black, then even if we keep brushing over that area, then the brush isn't going to have hardly any effect. It'll have zero effect if this preview is black in those areas, but very dark grey means the brush will basically barely touch those areas as we're brushing into the mask. So let me show you that in practice. So just click back on RGB so that we can see the image in full color. Back over into layers, and then let's click on the layer mask. I've still got the black brush selected. Let's boost the opacity up to 40%. And if I just make the brush a bit bigger now, what I can do is just brush across the sky here now and run it all the way through this overexposed part of the sky. And we can see there that we're bringing through the darker layer beneath, but the this rock out here out at sea hasn't been affected at all. So we can keep doing that and keep brushing it through. We want to be careful not to overblend. We don't want to blend too much of the dark layer through, because then it would be too dark for how this looks just generally. So let me just undo that last stroke actually. This is probably about the right amount of blending that we need to do. So let's have a look at the layer mask itself now. And we can see, let me just get rid of the marching ants. We can see here, this is the layer mask, and because because the mask is kind of grey here, we're masking out this top bright layer in those areas where it's grey, and by doing that it reveals the layer beneath. And we can see here that we've actually created that edge perfectly around the rock out there at sea. So we haven't darkened it at all, basically. So if we just toggle this off and on, here's what we've actually blended. So here's before and here's after. So you can see the sky has been brought through and the rock there has not been touched, but we didn't have to spend all that time trying to zoom in on a 200 or 300% zoom and try and get that edge perfect pixel by pixel. We were able to just brush right over it because the luminosity selection was restricting our brush strokes. So if this all kind of makes sense to you, then I'll just pop a video up in the corner now that'll be a good next step for you beyond this, and you can start going a bit further with luminosity masking. And also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, then you can do that just by clicking the icon that's on the screen right now.